Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rena Opozegi. I work for Dark Communications AIT. So I want to ask you, how are you engaging the international communities on the outcome of the elections?
Okay. Thank you very much. Now the real AIT, not former AIT.
Quite frankly, I'm not unless on invitation, I'm not engaging any international community or international body, because I feel this is the Nigerian problem. And this is time we have to start solving our problem. Elections have been conducted in all parts of Africa. And nobody have ever seen something near what we're going through here. So I'm not consulting anybody.
Okay.
Good day, sir. My name is Niyomoni. I represent and correspondent for News Central. I know you've recorded a lot of success rates when you go to court. I'm not trying to be an antagonist, but if you eventually go to court and it remains the same, that the mandate is given to your opponent, what will you do? Secondly, we've seen a lot of visuals online about youth destroying their PVCs. What word do you have to these youth who you somewhat represent their demographic?
Well, I'm still going to go around appealing to the youth. This is a long distance journey. And you have to know, I'm committed to going through this journey with them. It's not going to be a one-day journey. No matter how long the night is, they will be there. And I want to show them that I will be there. We have to go through darkness. I'm going to go through this darkness with them. Because I know we're not going to ask these people to leave easily. That's why they're there. That's why they have structure. That structure of criminality can't go away overnight. That structure of destruction can't go overnight. Structure that have created 133 million people living in multidimensional poverty can't go out overnight. Structure that have created 95 million people living under absolute poverty can't go out overnight. Structure that have created over 20 million out-of-school children can't go out overnight. All we need to show is commitment, resilience, like use all the resources we can, all our energy, everything. All I assure them that I'm not going away. I'll be at the forefront. We will walk through this darkness until day break. It's something. I know the court will do the right thing. Their children are involved. The future of their children are involved. I had an experience today, just today, that I told my chairman, I choose, whenever I meet a young person, I want to know what that young person does. So you see me every day talking to young people. So just this morning, I went somewhere with the chairman, and a young lady was to boil the water for me to make tea. I said, I will do it. He said she will do it. She was excited to do it. She was worried, and she said to me, she was almost in tears that I lost the election. And I said, so what's your name? She said she's this, called her name. I said, so who are you? She said she was from Nasarawa. So I said, where do you go to school? She said she went to University of Nasarawa. I said, so what do you do? She said she has no job. She graduated since 2018. I said, so what are you trying to do? She told me she's learned how to do baking. So why are you not baking instead of being here to do this? She said she doesn't have 75,000 naira to buy an oven.
Okay, so many people at the back there. So what I'm going to do is...
That's the life you get in Nigeria every day. People who don't have money to buy an oven.
So those are the back. I'll recognize two people from the back so that you can, because of the time it takes you to move. You've been coming, let me call someone here while you're coming.
Good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Dixon Irego. I anchor Nigeria right now. Yeah. With the gloomy picture that is out there in our society today, with the rot in the political space, where do you get your inspiration and your strength from? Nigerians want to know, please.
Of course, I get my inspiration takes from the young girl who doesn't have 75,000 naira to buy an oven. When people like me can sit down in a place and drink a bottle of wine that is costing that amount in the same country. When people like me have stolen billions of public money, that would have bought an oven for that young graduate. So that's where you get your inspiration. I said I want to build a new Nigeria, where those youths will have hope, where they will for them. But I can't build it, Dixon, unless I do the right things, so that I can emulate how to do the right things. We cannot do it. We have to teach them how to do the right thing. Dixon, I have an opportunity to do what other people are doing. And you've seen it from my corporate world, where I chair corporations, including Security and Exchange Commission, to my being governor of a state. I had the opportunity to do what other people are doing, but I didn't do it. Because we have to live and show an example. And use the resources of the country, public resources, for public good. And ask those who have the opportunity of doing the right thing for the country to do the right thing. If we have a security man, he should do his job. If we have somebody to conduct an election, I've been an observer of election in some of the West African countries. Dixon, it wasn't anything near this. Is this what we spend billions to do? Hey, wait a minute. We should have used that billions to do something else and announce what we announced. Because this young girl would have had an oven, and then we'll do the announcement. 400 billion.
Okay. All right, good. I hope you are not AIT.
Kobola is my name. I work with TV3 in Ghana. You said that you were going to court. One, what are the reliefs that you are seeking? Then two, the ECOWAS and Africa Union Observer missions have described this election as generally fair. Do you ascribe to the suggestions or the reports describing the elections as generally fair? Okay.
Well, let me tell you, throughout my comments, I didn't want to mention comments of observers, because if you choose it, there's so many other observers like European Union, EU, NRI, and so many who have said it did not meet the standards, who have said it's rigged, who have said this. So let's not talk about what the observers are saying. Let's look at what Nigerians are saying. This is essentially a Nigerian problem, and I want to hear Nigerians. With all due respect to those who are visiting us, it's a Nigerian problem. I'm talking about what Nigerians feel. You're from Ghana?
Yes, please.
Is this fair in Ghana? Because you have, yeah. Just say, tell me, is this fair in Ghana?
You mean the standard? You describe it as fair, though.
I just asked you a question. It is not, my brother, I've been to your country and I've witnessed the election. The earlier we start saying things are wrong when it's wrong, my brother, Africa will be good. Yeah. It doesn't matter to me because it happened there. Don't be part of that. Africa needs to be fixed. And we all have to tell ourselves the truth. this is very unfair. It's the least expected of us. The other question you asked about going to court, I've told you, I cannot answer until I get to where I was asked to go. If I was asking a question that you're asking me here as I was coming here, will I say answer you? No. I was coming here to see, and that's what I'm doing now.
Okay. Now, the last two. No, just come. The lady who's calling me, come out.
No, go there. You can go there and give it to them. Give it to them then.
Okay.
Your Excellency, good afternoon.
I've never done such. I didn't know what.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Kingsley of the Daily Independent newspapers. And I wouldn't want to throw a popular path now. My question to you would be, Nigeria has seen a lot, from the violence in the northeast to the killings in some other parts of the country, If, for the sake of peace, the person and the party that was declared to be the winner approaches you for a unity government, for the sake of peace, don't you think also should be shielded and return the path of peace?
Let me say it again for purposes of your understanding. I have never, if you remember when I made my general comments, where is it? Please come, I want to be looking at you. Listen very carefully. When I made my general comment, if you recall, I did ask for people to go about peacefully. And since after that election, I have never done anything to show that I don't want peace. I believe in a very peaceful Nigeria. I've had several phone calls where I asked people to remain calm and peaceful. That has nothing to do with what I'm challenging. I'm challenging the process. If the process is faulty, it's faulty. In fact, you can't build peace on a faulty foundation. It's never happened to anyone in the world. You have to the foundation has to be right for peace to prevail. And that is what the foundation is, what I'm challenging. And I'm pleading with you. It's not about me, it's not about you. It's about the future of the society our children and future generations will live in. It has to be built on a foundation of honesty, transparency, justice, fairness. We went into an election where somebody said and promised and shouted, this is the route we are going to go. This is how we are going to go there. And we followed the track. All of us. Suddenly, in that long distance journey, and it wasn't one day, and it wasn't quick. It lasted. As we get to the end, somebody jumped from north and claimed at that stage, my brother, it's not about peace. There's a process of being anything you want to be. If you want to be a professor, you must go and be a lecturer, write thesis to be a professor. If you want to be a doctor, you go and read medicine. You cannot suddenly, from being a lawyer, and say conferred a doctorate degree. No. Lawyers go through law school. I can be a lawyer. I cannot be awarded senior advocate today, no matter my knowledge of the law, because it is a process of being a senior advocate. Process is important, my brother. That's what makes a society. In this society, we have seen people suddenly become a senior advocate without going to law school. That's what we want to do.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I think in the interest of time, you have a whole lot of things to do.
There was one lady.
Yes. I asked her to come because I know...
The Labour Party presidential candidate addressing the press at the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, regarding his next steps based on the outcome of the presidential elections. He apologized for the loss of lives during these elections and for those that have also been harmed in the process, observed a moment's silence, and also took the time to correct the impression that he's spoken or released any statement or any message since after February 25th. This is the first time that he's addressing the press or making any public statements directly or indirectly since February 25th. He said he's also grateful to God and Nigerians who participated in the elections, especially for their resilience, and it's also proof that a new Nigeria is possible. He made it very clear that the election did not meet, that's according to him, did not meet the minimum standard expected of a free, fair, and credible election, and instead it will go down as one of the most controversial elections in Nigeria's history. Vimbai, do you want to take it up from there, or do I go?
I mean, so much to take out of this. I've got some quotable quotes. We won the election and we will prove it. Huge.
Be assured. Believe me as an elder brother. Believe me as a father. Believe me that this journey, I'm totally committed to it. And I'll walk through with you. I know how disillusioned you are. Don't be. Because the people we're dealing with have made up their mind that we won't succeed. We have also made up our mind that we will succeed. And I assure you that our will, telling me I'm going to leave this country. I can no longer stay. And I feel the pain. Just like I said, the young girl was crying today as she was trying to boil water and everything. But I'm preaching to all of them. Please stay. I'm not going to go away. I'm going to stay with you. And I assure you, we will overcome. They won't be there when the day comes. But we will be there.
So another round of applause for our presidential candidate. My president. Your Excellency. Thank you for running. My president. And ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate
That
your
was
coming.
the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi addressing the press based on the aftermath of the outcome of the presidential elections, which took place on February 25th. Of course, we heard just a moment ago he was appealing to Nigerians not to abandon ship and leave the country. He says he will stay with Nigerians and see things through. He also appealed to Nigerians and his supporters to remain calm and assure them that this is not the end, but the beginning of the birth of a new Nigeria. He says the process in which people come into office is fundamental, and excellence is an indicative of, actually an indicator of what to expect. So he's made it very clear in Bayern Roches that he's challenging the process.
Yep, that's right. If you must be referred to as Your Excellency, the process which you arrive in office must be excellent. And I quote that from Peter Obi.
We're going to actually bring in our correspondent who is there live. He actually got a chance to ask Peter Obi a question. Omar Bazi joining us now live. Omar, so what's the, I mean, we've all seen it live. You got to ask the presidential candidate of the Labour Party a question, and he gave you an answer. So I guess the mood seems to be, what is it, optimistic as the press conference concludes?
The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, is very, very optimistic and very sure that if eventually he takes his case to the court or maybe the Supreme Court, he will definitely have justice. He has said it clearly that the party is determined to ensure that they take this particular issue to the court, and that they have all the evidence, even though he will not speak too much about what he's going to be telling the court. But he knows definitely, he's very sure and optimistic that by the time the matter gets to the court, that the Labour Party and that his mandate that he said was robbed and stolen from him will be restored.
Thank you, Omar. And, you know, after the conference that took place not too long ago between the vice presidential candidates of PDP and the Labour Party, I think it prompted that question about if he'll be considering a collaboration. And he made it clear that there's not any alliance, and what's happening is that he's in discussions about a partnership with Nigerians who are in line with what they stand for. Were you taken aback by that, or what was the response in the room when he, you know, hinted that that wouldn't be happening?
Well, Peter Obi was asked that question if he was thinking of going into any form of alliance as he heads to the court. And obviously he said that is not going to happen. He's not thinking in that direction. But he's putting all his hope and inspirations, so drawing his inspirations from what he described as the pain of the Nigerian people. He expressed so much gratitude to the people of Nigeria, whom he said turned out en masse to vote for him. He was particularly grateful to the Nigerian youths, the obedience, and for coming out, and they, according to him, his backbone, and he wants to assure them that as long as he is, and I mean as long as the case is going, that he will definitely, you know, ensure that there is victory for every one of them.
Omar Bazawi, live from Abuja. Thank you so much for keeping us abreast with things as they happen at the Peter Obi press conference. Now the conversation continues as we now connect with the founding member, Arewa Consultative Forum, Tanko Yakasai. And he also joins us from Abuja. It's glad to have you, sir. Very warm welcome to the program. Now I'd love to get straight into it. Your immediate reactions to this address by Peter Obi.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't hear him because you didn't tune me in to hear him. But I welcome Peter Obi to this new life. He has been a banker, now he's a politician, he's contesting election for the first time. Anybody who is starting something for the first time is in learning process. I would please plead with him to be patient enough, because you don't learn politics in the school. You learn it through practice. I'm sure he will be a good politician. He will learn and he will be successful if only he can endure.
And so we have this quote up from the press conference where he said, if you must be referred to as Your Excellency, then the process which you arrived in office must be excellent. Well, what has been your take on the electoral process so far, Mr. Yankasai?
Well, you know, in this kind of situation, you see things from the perspective of people speaking. If somebody is not happy with the outcome of the election, you cannot expect him to praise the process. But is another matter if you're asking another person who is really interested in what is going on. I'm not surprised. And like I said before, as a newcomer into this system of government, life is a starter, so it's a matter of allowing him time to be at home with the process. But there's nothing anybody can do. It's a matter of trial and error until you can succeed. You can be familiar with the terrain.
Thank you, Mr. Yakasai. Now, he also made an appeal when a question was posed to him regarding youths that had basically given up and were destroying their PVCs because they've reportedly lost faith in the process. And he said that this is a long journey, and he made it very clear that he will embark on this journey with them and that they should not lose hope and jump ship, basically. But seeing that the March 11th election is also pretty close, do you think that this was a timely statement that will be adhered to by the youth?
Well, it depends on the attitude of his supporters. I think the supporters will definitely tend to follow his footsteps. But we are talking of Nigerians. A total of about 20 million people voted, and each individual who voted has his own thinking, has his own mantra, has his own mind. So this is a democracy. They say the majority will have their way and the minority will have their say. Let us continue to practice the system, and this is the most important thing. And this is a system where you can only learn from practicing. I think we'll allow him the opportunity to learn. There's a lot of time, and he's new in this world. He came to this world in 1961. He has a long way to go. I believe he will one day be 100 years old. You can imagine from now to that time. It will be a journey.
Certainly a journey. Now, one of the sentiments shared by Peter Obi after he was asked a question about a possible coalition, he held a joint, he didn't hold, the Labour Party, and the PDP held a joint press conference together, and people began to speculate as to whether there was some form of coalition happening. And of course, he said that this is not the issue at hand. I bring this up because, of course, you've been vocal about the topic of coalitions, as the president-elect himself currently is speaking in a tone of reconciliation, inclusivity, and a desire to want to bring people in. However, your comments with regards to that are that you feel that a coalition is anti-democracy, as democracy should be competitive. Now, I'd just like to ask you why you feel this way, because if we look at history around the world, coalitions have brought about stability and peace in several countries, not just in Africa, but also in Europe. South Africa, for example, Nelson Mandela began his tenure after apartheid with a coalition coalition government. Why are you so vehemently against a government in which the president-elect brings in other people from the political fold that may not belong to his ruling party?
No, I'm not against coalition government, but I'm saying that what we need in this country is an all-inclusive government. It's different from a coalition government. Coalition government means giving a veto power to the partner. You see, I don't know if you know me very well. I was a liaison officer during the Second Republic for President Shehu Shagari. We had a coalition between the NPN and NPP. At a stage, the NPP wanted to scuttle the coalition and nearly caused a crisis in the country. That led to the split in the party. This is why Omeze Ezeoke, the former speaker, left the APP and retained his position as speaker. That's why the running mate of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Professor Ishaya Audu, left APP and stayed as neutral because he was not prepared to wreck the ship. So this is the situation. I'm not against a coalition government, but I am saying that a coalition government will give a partner a kind of veto power. And when it doesn't suit his mantra, if you are not careful, you can wreck the ship. I don't want any crisis in Nigerian politics anymore. What we want is to develop democracy. What prevented us from developing democracy in this country is this kind of attitude. If you compare Nigeria to our sister nations like Indonesia, Malaysia, and the rest of them, they have gone far ahead of us. This is because they enjoy stability in their system. We are not enjoying that kind of stability. So I want us to build stability in this country, because without stability we cannot develop. We cannot address our problems. The military coup in 1966 plunged this country into this trouble. And we are still in that problem, but we are trying to get out of it. I think instead of a coalition government, let us have an all-inclusive government, and I appeal to the President to have an all-inclusive government. I am not in a position to dictate to the President what he should be doing, how his government should look like, but my advice as an individual to him as a Nigerian is that instead of a coalition government, let him have an all-inclusive government.
And sir, thank you so much, I guess, for history and your involvement in Shagari's administration, which, interestingly enough, Shagari had the lowest vote total for a popular vote total. I think it was 5.68 million votes, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with his 8.7 million, has the second lowest since that time in 1979. So the coalition government you're talking, or rather the all-inclusive government, excuse me, while you're saying you don't want to dictate that to the president-elect, is he being, well, rather, will he be pushed towards that because of his vote total? When you look at the amount of votes he got, similar to what Shagari did, who also had a low vote total as well, which is somehow reflective of the mood of the nation.
But if you remember, I don't know if you are around, Shagari government was not called a coalition government. I say what I don't like is a coalition government. A coalition government is a crisis in the making. But it's up to the president. I'm not the president. I'm not here to dictate to him. But I'm expressing my opinion as an individual, as a Nigerian. But you have your mind. I don't have mine. I have my own. I don't share your views about the coalition. But I feel that he should have an all-inclusive government that will give all Nigerians sense of belonging in that government.
Thank you, Mr. Yakasai. Now, during that press conference, Peter Obi made mention emphatically, actually, that he said unless an invitation is extended to him, he will not be engaging any international body or organization regarding the outcome of this elections, basically challenging the process. He says that this is a Nigerian problem. Just wondering what you make of that, if you support that stance he's taking.
It's a very important statement he made. An invitation means from the president, not from anybody else. It's up to the president to make up his mind whether he'll invite him for something. I have no position to take in this regard, but it's a welcome development that is prepared to relate with his co-partners in order to take our country forward. That is a very good sign, in my opinion.
All right, Peter Obi referred to this election as an existential election. In light of that, do you feel that if the status quo prevails, which is that the president-elect goes unchallenged, all the challenges in court, he's able to win and sail through to be inaugurated as the next president of this nation, given the process that he arrived at that, is this in the interests of democracy? Is this in the interests of the development and advancement of electoral reform in Nigeria, given the inconsistencies and some of the lapses that we witnessed from INEC throughout the process?
Well, I don't expect any human being to be perfect. That is something that you should take home. Only God is perfect. Human being is not perfect. We are subject to adjustment from here and there. What we need to do is to check our position. An election has taken place. We have people who got vote from different parts of the country or from all over the country. We have the one who took the largest number, and we have gotten somebody who came next to him, and you have gotten somebody who come as a third person to him. We allow them to sort it out themselves. But what we now have is a government that is declared, a president that is declared the winner. We should all accept that fact as a reality of the situation in the country. Then the process now is for him to take the next step. What he's thinking to do, I am not in a position to know, and I cannot know. But let us allow him as a president-elect to do what is best for the country. I know he's a committed Nigerian. This is the only candidate that has been a senator and won his gubernatorial election 2 times. I don't think there's any candidate in this country who can claim of this feat in his political history. So he has all the experience and what it takes, and he interacted with Nigerians from all parts of the country. Let us allow him the opportunity to make up his mind, make consultations, and arrive at a step that he feels that is safe for him and safe for the country to take.
And so there's been a lot of talk about INEC and also about security. What's your view, I guess, on the conduct of INEC, their efficiency, and also the security forces ahead of the very, I know maybe that's also existential as well, the March 11th elections?
It will interest you to know that the first time I took part in election was in 1951. I took part as a delegate to an electoral college. Then I took part in an election in 1954 as a candidate. And since then I've been taking part in election. I didn't take part in election as a candidate during the Second Republic, but I watched people contesting and losing and winning. And this is the issue in a democracy. You must be prepared to win and must be prepared to lose. So now we are now in a country, we have an election, we have a declared president-elect in the country. We should look forward into building a government that will rule this country and face the challenges of development and unity of the country. I think this is what we should help the incoming administration to advise them or to help them with support so that they will be able to address the problem that we are now hoping that they will address and solve for us.
Thank you, Mr. Yakasai. Now, still on INEC and the feedback that we've been receiving, we understand that a coalition of civil society organizations, they're demanding an audit report of the presidential NAS elections, and they are also stating that they have no confidence that INEC can manage the elections that are scheduled to hold on March 11th. Just wondering what your take might be as regards demanding an audit report.
Well, the entitlement of the person asking for the audit report to get it. But in an election, the way forward is for anybody who is aggrieved to go to court. This is the only avenue that we have for adjusting an outcome of the election, right or wrong. It is for the court to decide whether the election is correctly conducted and the winner has emerged through due process or not. So I don't know of the audit report. You know, Peter Obi is a banker. They do their life through audit report. I don't run my life through audit report. Well, I'm not a rich man. I'm not a businessman. I'm a politician. We don't have any audit report as a politicians.
All right, sir. Now, as we round up, we appreciate your wealth of knowledge and your wealth of experience, especially as you refer back to the several decades ago that you first got involved into politics. Now, my question to you is, do you find it in the spirit of democracy that people who are your age today, the age that you were during the Shagari era, they're the youth of today, but they're still not contesting in these elections? We're still not seeing their visibility. Is that in the interest of democracy?
Well, in a democracy, particularly our own system of democracy, that people participate in election through their will. They go and register. When the time for casting their vote comes, it is not necessary that whoever is registered for an election to go and cast his vote. Only those who wish to cast their vote will go and cast their vote in an election. Those who cast their vote are the electorate, and their decision is abiding on everybody who contests the election, who is watching the election. So in my opinion, what we need to do is to help the process to develop, to go to the logical conclusion, and I think we are all right with what is happening now, and we concentrate on moving the country forward rather than you get people with different opinions. There's no way that you can make people to think alike, particularly in a country of over 200 million people like Nigeria, and particularly in a situation where we have a truncated democracy. We are just building it. You can remember how many times the military intervened to truncate our process of democracy. Those who have been at the same level with us, Indonesia, Malaysia, the rest of them, are now in a perfect condition, better than ourselves. Let us all allow democracy to thrive in Nigeria, and we develop it, we learn and make a mistake and correct it, so that eventually we'll be able to perfect the system as we wish it to be.
Mr. Tanko Yakasai, founding member, Aurora Consultative Forum, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. We really appreciate your insights. The continued coverage